It's probably because you and your kind poisoned my brain as a child for bad movies. Like, I watched this movie raw and enjoyed it. Like, it's also only an hour long.
I want you to take that word raw out of your vocabulary, though. It trips me up twice now. It's like...
Okay. Well, that was Bill Corbett, everybody. He has to go early.
In 2017, Universal Studios announced the birth of a new shared universe of monster movies, bringing their classic horror icons into the contemporary franchise film landscape. But after the critical and financial failure of its first installment, the project was indefinitely abandoned. Now, in 2024, the powers that be have called upon one pulp horror devotee and one snarky film critic to unearth the concept. I'm Dylan Roth.
And I'm Dalton DeShane.
Are you afraid of the dark universe?
Hello, and welcome to the 50th episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark Universe, the podcast where we attempt to, again, what's the word that we use? Resurrect the Universal Studios failed cinematic universe of monster movies, one pitch at a time. This one's easy. I'm your robot host, Dalton DeShane.
And I'm your human host who's trapped here and
no.
built... And
I was going for a robot monster thing. It was going to be, I'm your robot host, I'm your monster host.
I was going to think that I am the human host who built you out of the parts that were lying around.
I can see how that would be confusing given our guest today. That's what I thought you were setting up.
I am your monster host, Dylan Roth.
But
although
also,
really, if you were to ask almost anybody,
you would be the robot.
I'm the robot, you're the monster.
Yes. And
you
which
see
of us,
why I'm confused?
Which one of us is the ape host and which one of us is the spaceman host is really the other question.
It can really go either way.
I think you're still spaceman.
Maybe, but
I'm ape.
I'm all hairy though.
You are the hairier of us.
And I've been working out.
Are you Italian?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the Italian.
It's one of the many things that I am, but yeah.
Definitely a hairier fellow than I. Welcome to Are You Afraid of the Dark Universe, the podcast where we discuss our body hair for the first 10 minutes of the show and then talk to guests.
Yeah, we
also about their body hair.
On the bonus pod, we do the Bev check. Here we talk about our body hair.
Today, we have a very special episode for you. We are going to be talking about probably the worst film to enter the dark universe up to this point. I'm not saying the reboot is going to be the worst, but the original film, definitely a pretty bad one, which is apropos given our guest. You know him as Brain Guy and the voice of Crow T. Robot for the sci-fi era of Mystery Science Theater 3000. You also know him for his work with the Film Crew with Mike Nelson and Kevin Murphy, and of course for RiffTrax, whose live riff of Point Break just streamed live to theaters across the country last month in August. And also, crucially, he is not a Balerian. Please welcome to the Dark Universe, Bill Corbett. Bill, it is an honor to have you here.
Thank you, guys. So what can I say about my body hair? I'd say
you have a beard.
Moderate, not really hirsute, but it's there. I don't have to demonstrate visually to you guys, do I?
No, you know what? Because not everyone's going to be watching the YouTube version, and that just wouldn't be very good radio.
Okay.
So.
No, yeah.
But for that reason alone, we won't do it.
We should consider, now that we're doing video edits of the podcast, we should consider having our guests strip nude. But we won't start that with this one. Don't worry.
Could probably you could make a lot of money that way, guys.
That's true. We know it's time for us to start our OnlyFans.
Yeah, we have the Patreon. The Patreon money is kind of plateaued.
Yeah. In order to just next level.
New levels of selling out needed.
Has RiffTrax considered an OnlyFans? Have you considered riffing on OnlyFans content, maybe?
The first question, RiffTrax OnlyFans would classify as horror. I mean, we are not young guys anymore. So if it ever would have been, but especially now, no. Riffing people's OnlyFans things, that seems ethically a little dubious to me.
That's ethically not good. You'd have to be very supportive. It'd be supportive riffing.
I know.
It'd be like,
yes.
So just cheering them up.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just being in the chat, right?
Yeah.
How does OnlyFans work?
It's something like that.
Okay.
I wouldn't know. How would Bill and I know?
I've never even heard of OnlyFans. I don't know what it is. So.
I've never been on Demon Time, Dylan.
Don't know what that is.
Yeah, that's...
I really don't.
Someone out there does. Well, welcome to the show, Bill.
Thank you.
We've had plenty of people on trying to get some films made in the Dark Universe. But our goal here on Are You Afraid of the Dark Universe has always been to take a really stupid idea, which is to create the Marvel Cinematic Universe of monster films and try to make it as good as possible. And so to have someone who knows what bad is, I think you are one of the few people. You've probably seen more bad movies than almost anyone else on the planet.
That is sad, but probably true.
Do you think you've seen more bad movies than good movies?
I don't know. That, I mean, I want to believe no, but yeah, the answer might disturb me.
Well,
thankfully, I have not counted
more bad movies more times, right? Because in the process of writing the jokes, you've got to go through it, which Dalton knows a little something about now, having watched Robot Monster 3 times in the past 10 days.
I did my homework. I wanted to watch it raw. I wanted to raw dog it first.
Big mistake.
I wanted to see the shirtless husband in all his glory without anything distracting me.
I love that he takes his shirt off. We'll get to this, I'm sure, but he takes his shirt off during his wedding ceremony.
Yes,
like, whatever. Just
never bothers to find a new one.
No.
Speaking of watching movies many times, the history of this one is long. Now, you were not with Mystery Science Theater at the time it was first riffed.
That is
correct.
correct.
Back in the first season. But Kevin and Mike were. They were writing at the time. But then RiffTrax riffed it again in 2022.
Yeah.
Was that your first exposure to this movie? And what is it that made you three revive this one for a second riff?
That was not my first exposure to it. I had seen the MST3K version, and it's such an iconic image, the big hairy gorilla guy with the. It always read more as a diving helmet to me, but it's supposed to be a space helmet, I think, because I do think it's up there with you can really drive yourself crazy trying to count what is the canon of the worst movies of all time, and I don't know that this one. It depends on your standards. But this one has definitely an image that is one of the silliest, PR forward images of all time. The robot monster himself.
Roman. Yeah, it's really an ideal bad movie because it is sort of a baffling. There's a lot to enjoy in it, I found, even when I watched it just by itself, because it's just so bizarre.
Yeah, and what you said, Dalton, that is one of the word baffling. That's one of the things that I love about bad movies. That's my ideal bad movie is what were they thinking? And what was, and there's something so pure about a baffling bad movie maker. What got you going here? And, the things that you put together for this movie, how did you think that was going to work? And it's not even a shaming thing. It's more just I want to get into your head and then I want to get right out because I'm scared. But, when you come across somebody like Tommy Wiseau or the guy who did Birdemic, it's you are such an odd person that almost anthropologically, I want to know what is going on there. But,
Right. But there's that's the thing where you'll find these really specifically weird filmmakers who have a big body of work, like Neil Breen, right?
Yeah.
We've now had plenty of time to understand what makes Neil Breen tick. You watch one of his movies and you're like, what the fuck is that? And then you watch 4 of his movies and you say, no, these are all talking about the same things.
Yeah.
This is what Neil Breen finds important. This is what interests him,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
This is an example. This is, let's call this what it is, which is Robot Monster is a Phil Tucker film. What does that mean? Because you go through
you looked up the filmography.
His filmography is fascinating in that this is one of only 2 narrative films that he did that are not just we stuck a camera in a burlesque club for a while and just filmed the show and then cut to reaction shots from poor horny patrons.
Yeah.
Do you have the names of those films, by the way?
Yes,
I think I should have done my research more. Maybe I'll do some post-research.
Baghdad After Midnight, Dream Follies, Tijuana After Midnight, Strips Around the World, and his, I guess, calling card film that kicked this all out came out the same year as Robot Monster, Dance Hall Racket, which, as I understand it, has more of a plot. It's sort of a thriller.
Part of the After Midnight series, beloved by post-war England. No, I'm thinking
Yes.
of the
But,
Carry
like,
On
this-
films.
Now it makes sense why the guy's shirtless for most of the movie.
Yeah.
It's just
He's kind of a sad character too, but he didn't like get paid or something for Robot Monster, and he like got very depressed, and he like tried to commit suicide. Not to start this on a downer. He didn't.
Yeah.
I mean, he survived it
Yeah.
and went on to make more after midnight movies.
Oh, great. So we are allowed to make fun of him, just to be clear.
Yeah. Oh,
he died normally.
yes.
I really think, though, it's probably because you and your kind poisoned my brain as a child for bad movies. But like the baffling thing is always what sticks with me is like I am such a lover of movies where there's just like I watched this movie raw and enjoyed it. Like, you know, just I mean, it's also only an hour long.
I
but
want
like,
you to take that word "raw" out of your vocabulary. Though. It trips
that
me up
making
twice now. It's like,
okay. Well, that was Bill Corbett, everybody. He has to go early.
you don't drink raw milk, do you? You're not.
I don't.
Okay.
No. We're not that kind of Brooklyner.
Yeah.
Brooklynite?
Are you guys
yeah.
in Brooklyn?
Yes.
Oh, do you know that I'm an actual born and bred Brooklyner, just trapped in the
No.
Midwest? Yeah.
See, I'm a born and bred Midwesterner trapped in Brooklyn.
It's nuts. I was born in Bay Ridge by the Verrazano
wow.
Bridge.
Oh,
Very
incredible.
cool.
Yeah.
I'm in Williamsburg.
course.
Dylan, what's your neighborhood?
I'm now I live in Queens. I live in Ozone Park.
Oh,
but
that's right. You're
I have lived in Queens too. My God, I've lived
Yeah.
everywhere.
I do enjoy like not to spoil things on our bonus podcast, but I've been watching all the Star Treks, and I just had to watch Star Trek V, The Final Frontier. Not one of the good ones, but the scene where for some reason they're like, oh, we need to distract these aliens. Let's have Uhura dance naked on a sand dune to distract them. And I'm like, Shatner, what the fuck? Like, that honestly, I think that scene will stick in my mind more than anything in Wrath of Khan, just because it is such a weird choice.
Yes.
And it is a weird visual. And I have no idea how that could go through so many people and then end up on the screen. And I love that stuff. You know?
Dalton,
Yeah.
I kind of suspected that you were gonna kind of love Star Trek V.
I didn't say that.
I'm
Is
the
that
one
the
making them
Search
do
for
it.
God one?
Yes.
Okay.
That's where they
What
search for
does
God, and,
need with the starship? Yeah.
and
Yeah.
he's the cowardly lion for some reason.
What
But
a moment.
We'll save
What a
the rest
moment.
of that for the bonus pod we're recording right after this.
yes, we're gonna save that talk.
Yeah, the idiosyncrasies of some like do-it-yourself directors are what makes this fun. It's why they are much more appealing for me personally to Riff than say like a not very good Hollywood movie, because you can see the committee work for even for stuff like Transformers. And so what we started doing out with RiffTrax was to do more standard Hollywood movies, and little by little we have backed away from that. Like let's get back to our weirdo movies a little bit more, because those are more fun.
I will say though, since I have the opportunity, that the RiffTrax for Twilight is among your best work.
Thank you.
It's incredible. I've gone back to that as often as I've gone back to Space Mutiny. It's so good.
It was such an easy target on some level, and really technically like made to order. Like we made a joke of line, but there were like pauses you could drive a convoy through in there. And it's like, thank you. You've done our work for us.
Yeah, when I was in college, my whole college floor, it was the Twilight RiffTrax and the Room RiffTrax that were basically like on repeat for us. But yeah, now you're doing more of the sort of MST3K fare, the B movies and things like that.
And shorts, of course, my favorite because of
I
I love the shorts.
very short attention span in general. It's like shorts are just tailor-made for me.
So what is it about Robot Monster that had you not just riff it in 2022, but then bring it to us to be part of the dark universe?
I just thought, well, I was trying to think of something that has not, if I understand your mission correctly, that first of all, I looked at what people had already brought, and I thought between two movies, one which were not at all like in the same category at all. One was Meg 3N, as I go, Megan, which I saw with my wife a couple of months ago, and I thought it was kind of hilarious.
For sure.
But maybe too cheekily good on some level for my I don't know. But the other one was Robot Monster, just because of like, how do you take that? Obviously, like, there's not a moment this creature is in frame when you're not thinking, oh my God, this is ridiculous. Like, it never wears off. So is there a way of making this guy threatening or actual, Universal monster movie caliber?
Yeah, Roman really is the Universal monster that wasn't. He never really entered the canon. So let's talk about Robot Monster.
Yes.
This came out in 1953. We talked about good old Phil Tucker, the horn dog himself. This was also a 3D film. And for all of the talk of how bad it is, apparently the 3D was really good.
Yeah, I just read that a couple of days ago, and I was like, really? I mean,
have you not seen the 3D version?
I have not seen the 3D version. I don't know where one would at this point.
I guess
you'd have to find a print. I guess.
I think there's a 3D Blu-ray of it that was put out. The other thing that I just discovered right before we started taping that I do want to shout out is like a lot of B movies of the time, this was a double feature. But this was actually not the B movie to like an A movie. It opened with a short called Stardust in Your Eyes, which is an 8-minute 3D nightclub routine from an impressionist named Trustin Howard, who apparently it's an 8-minute short where he's basically just monologuing to the camera in 3D about how their favorite celebrities will look and sound in 3D.
Oh, wow.
And he does impressions of James Cagney, Ronald Colman, James Stewart, Peter Lorre, and Humphrey Bogart. I want to see this so bad.
I know.
Also directed by Phil Tucker.
Yeah.
How does he posit that 3D will affect? Does he get his lips right up to the camera? Like,
you can just imagine this guy and Phil Tucker thinking this is going to be as iconic as that intro that goes on before a girl can't help it. We're like, beautiful, gorgeous color by Deluxe.
Yeah, right.
That we're still talking about 80 years later or whatever.
This was really the Nicole Kidman ad of its day, I think. The beautiful 3. I need to see this. Apparently, this was released on the Blu-ray of Robot Monster.
Wow.
Oh, you're gonna buy this.
So, am I gonna buy the 3D Blu-ray of Robot Monster?
After having watched this movie 3 times, you are going to buy the Blu-ray of Robot Monster.
I think it's seeming inevitable now.
If it comes with the 3D glasses, I will. I will absolutely do it because I gotta see what Peter Lorre's like in 3D or what he would be like.
It's so funny that. Like, I cannot think of a lot of shots outside of the very end that stuck out to me as like, oh, this is a 3D, obviously tailored for the 3D moment.
Honestly, it's got to just be the billion bubble machine, right?
Yes.
That's why it's there. That, you know what? The whole time I'm thinking, and I think you were all commenting it on the RiffTrax, being like, what does this machine do other than spit out bubbles? And the answer is nothing.
Nope.
But the reason for it to be there is to provide some depth to these otherwise very under-designed locations.
Yeah, my goodness. Could not be more sparse.
Let's shoot a 3D movie in the desert. But the billion bubble machine is really the star of the show.
I just believe that Roman just was whimsical. He just kind of wanted that around to remember that it's good to have fun in life.
He misses his kids, and it's like, they gave me this, and it was one of those things where it's really more of a gift for them than for me, but it makes me think of them, so I bring it with me when I go to work. My long missions.
It's a great guidance that I could bring it, so.
Before we get into the summary here, I'm just looking at my notes, and I do want to make sure this gets brought up, and I don't know if there's a better time to do it. But Bill, I do have a bit of nit to pick with you and your RiffTrax crew.
Uh-oh.
Which, as you know, I watched this film 3 times. I watched the regular, I will say, is how I watched it. Mystery Science Theater 3000 and the RiffTrax. And in the RiffTrax, your associate, Kevin Murphy, asks Roman to kill Vincent Price, saying, boy, he's annoying. Now, as someone who has 3 framed photos of Vincent Price in my apartment at this moment, would you care to disavow your coworker's comments?
I will disavow it. I don't remember it at all. What was the context? Just like random hostility towards Vinny P?
Yeah, I was I was blown apart because usually, look, I would never try to cancel the RiffTrax boys for anything. But you come at Vincent Price, a rumoredly bisexual man. But the thing is, like, the great guidance is basically like, kill all humans. And Kevin's like, especially Vincent Price.
Oh, I know what that was a reference to. It's a reference to The Last Man on Earth.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I should have caught that. That's a clever reference to
You blew it, Dalton.
No, that's good now. Tell Kevin I'm sorry.
It wasn't just like insane animus towards Vincent Price.
I was like, what did he do in 2022 to deserve this? Kevin tried one of the recipes from his cookbook.
2022, he remained dead, really.
Yes.
I did. Can I just tell you guys, I met Vincent Price once. He was at my college graduation. He's an alumnus, and he was very, very old. He was just coming down the street. I recognized him instantly, and I said hello. He was very sweet, but he was incredibly tall. And you don't get used to, like, he was an over 90-year-old man who was towering over me, which is a weird dynamic. But he was nice. He's just, I love you, man.
That's incredible.
Dr. Fibes.
That's Dr. Fibes himself.
Yeah.
More like Dr. Vibes. Good vibes.
Dr. Good Vibes.
Dr. Good Vibes. Okay, so what the hell is this movie about? I've been putting it off because it's so hard to summarize.
Don't try too hard. No, they did not.
We just got to provide just enough context so that our listeners know what elements you'll be bringing into your pitch that are original and which are coming from the source material.
And at some point during this, I will actually be thinking of my pitch. This is pretty much how I approach Hollywood pitch movies with,
You find it in the room. Find it in the room.
Yeah.
You do.
Yeah. So it opens with a child playing in the desert. This little boy with a little space helmet. His sister is also in the desert. This is just kind of where they hang out.
It looks bleak immediately, too.
Yes.
It looks post-apocalyptic, even though it's not supposed to be. They play like ding, 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 like you kind of kids are innocent and having fun music, but you're wondered, like, what happened to the rest of humanity?
Speaking of the ding to ding to ding ding, score by Elmer Bernstein.
Yeah, right.
Was that the whole fucking budget?
Yeah. Well, this was an early film for him. He had not yet done the Magnificent Seven and won the Oscar
I'm like, they spent $16,000 total on this movie. How much of it went to Elmer Bernstein?
I hope it was at least 90%, because anything else is not fair.
Yeah. And he goes hard. Like, I mean, the little sing-songy theme is pretty annoying and repetitive for the kids, but like he's going wild. He's pretending this movie makes sense in his score, which is your job, I guess.
Yeah.
When you're Elmer Bernstein, you have to pretend Roman is actually scary. He's playing, for some reason, he discovers some sort of young man and a professor in a cave. Yeah. And the professor immediately pulls him into his lap. Pretty much as soon as he sees this young boy. It was a different time. His family shows up and they're like, we're having a picnic now on the rocks. Terrible place for a picnic.
It just looks like the most miserable place in the world for it.
It really does. And then we fade to black. And when we come back, everyone's dead, or so it seems. Everyone has passed out and are sleeping again on gravel. Mm-hmm. Except the little boy wakes up, goes back to the cave, and now instead of the young man and the professor being there is Roman, the titular robot monster. Now, the most important thing here is probably to describe Roman. He is wearing what appears to be a gorilla costume.
Which is indeed a gorilla costume. I don't think we have to mince words.
Yeah, it's a gorilla costume, but
from the neck down.
But also, it's not like it's poorly shaped. Like, yes, it is a gorilla costume. It's got like the bear chest and everything, but he looks like one of the Country Bear Jamboree bears. He's shaped like a cereal mascot for some reason.
He's a tubby fella.
Yeah. He's very he's low center of gravity on Roman for sure.
Well, in the day we called that barrel chested, and it was considered very appealing.
he's barrel everything though. He's barrel hipped and butted, and so he's a barrel.
He's got a real Babe Ruth body.
And then he's got like you said, like a diving helmet or a space helmet on.
Yeah.
That is pretty comically small compared to how wide his body is.
Yeah.
And he's terrifying, I guess, is the implication. He is an alien, apparently, and we quickly find out that all of human life has been exterminated, except for this family, which now includes the guy he met, the kid met. So none of this makes sense unless you know the twist at the end, which the twist at the end is that the boy is dreaming all of this. That this whole movie is a dream sequence, which
maybe, I mean, was it a cliche yet to end a story that way? Maybe it was like still kind of the hip new thing where it's like, we can do whatever we want. And then at the end, it'll all be a dream.
Yeah.
But
it was Wizard of Oz though,
Yeah, it really is the Wizard. Because they do that. And you were there and you were there, it's like just the people he had just met. And the thing about a twist like that is like, if the movie doesn't make sense at all, unless you know it, it's not a good twist, because if you don't know he's dreaming, then you're like, what the fuck? He was just on a picnic, but were they the last people alive the whole time? Why is the professor now with them?
Well, I can maybe defend our director a little bit and say, like, the guy who is. No, I actually can't. Now that you mentioned it, it's like he is introduced as a complete stranger at the in the pre-dream thing, and then suddenly he's the kid's dad. He's the kid's 60-year-old dad.
It's like, this is important art. This is like Philip Roth's American Pastoral, where it's not about what happens. It's about what the imaginer imagines based on the information he has to fill the gaps to make this narrative make sense to himself.
It was clearly a big influence on David Lynch, the dreamlike quality of the film.
Yeah, it was a Jungian film, operating on a much higher level than the costume, for example.
Yes, yeah. There's just a pretty wide gap between budget and ideas.
And conceptual. Philosophically, it's tight.
Yes. So we follow this family back to the porch on which they live, I guess.
You never get a great sense of what the thing is. It really just looks like the ruins of one house or a garage. But there's a couple of strung lights and some shit plugged in, and you never get this. It's like, where do you guys sleep? And you learn that the answer is just like on the floor where we have our picnics and we do everything else.
Yeah, it's all open air, and the young man that they met in the cave is now the boy's dad in this dream, because we established before the dream for some reason that his dad is dead.
Au contraire, it is the older guy with the accent who's his dad.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the young guy is the fiance of his sister, That's right. And they're all just like feuding lovers, even though like all of humanity has been wiped out. They are, like, oh, I oughta.
And the professor, by the way, is a scientist with a German accent who is Christian, which makes me believe he's definitely an Operation Paperclip guy. Like this German professor was absolutely brought over from some shady dealings during World War II.
Absolutely.
Just the timeline adds up. I'm just saying. And unfortunately,
he shared a flight with Werner von Braun for sure.
Yes. They were on the same team. He also, unfortunately, has my hair, like, exactly. I was noticing that. I was like,
hair.
Oh shit, I have the professor's hair. So they have figured out a way to survive the rays, the death rays,
the calcinator ray,
which
is
rays.
weirdly
how
specific. It makes me feel like everyone is getting, their bones kind of messed with, and they're gonna get osteoporosis from this. But yeah, they don't go into any detail as to what but the calcinator death ray is the thing that wipes out all of humanity. Just calcinates the whole lot of them.
But they have survived, they think, because of some sort of electric fence they've erected. But then they find out it's because the dad, the professor, has invented a cure for all diseases.
Yes, I know. What a coinky dink.
Really burying the lead on the whole film.
Yeah,
Yes.
like we are to believe that dad, Werner von Braun's buddy, has basically wiped out disease in humanity.
But now humanity's not around
But
to
it's too
appreciate
late.
it.
The timing
Yes.
is deeply ironic.
Oh,
Alanis Morissette
yes.
level ironic.
Because now it's just protecting his family from the calcinator rays. The little boy also, when talking to Roman, reveals that his dad was feeding them diseases
Yeah.
to just to make sure, like, these kids were like human test subjects.
It is ethically quite dubious what dad was doing. But then again, given where he just came from,
Yeah, that pretty much seals it, doesn't it? He's not going to beat the
Yes.
Operation
it's
Paperclip
like, I'm
accusation.
used to this. This is what I do.
Yeah. So they are immune to these. Roman is hanging out in the desert. He has been given direction by the Great Guidance. Is that what he's called?
Yes.
The Great Guidance, who is the supreme leader off Earth, that he needs to finish the job. He needs to kill the remaining. I'm not even going to talk about like the other two people who are in the rocket ship because I don't know.
Yeah,
what
you never see
happened
them.
there.
It's a weird little subplot where these two guys who are part of the team, but they go to a space platform that you never see, and then they're
it looks
blown
a
up.
lot
Yeah.
like an Estes
It was a
rocket.
confusing little sidetrack.
Yeah, we'll skip that. I don't even.
Yeah,
I think that's
please
as good
do.
of a summary as we're gonna get. But he's hanging out in this little cave. He has the billion bubble machine, which does get its own credit, and it is just a machine that it's like an amusement park. I was just at Playland in Connecticut a couple weekends ago.
Yeah.
They had a billion bubble machine there.
Yeah.
Same kind of thing.
That was
But
cutting
Roman
edge
has it.
technology back in the early 50s, though.
That's right. I mean, that's one of the benefits that Operation Paperclip gave us.
Yes.
The German scientists came over.
And now we all have one in our house, okay?
Yes.
So I think we can say that it worked out all right.
So Alice is the sister.
And the sister's also imaginary, right? No, she's his real
she
sister
exists.
from
She's
real life.
very real. Now, the sister is like 20 years older than the other kids. And she is very attractive. The one weird detail, very weird, never explained, is that the mother, who is like a very, sort of a housefrau, sort of fretting a lot, married to the German professor, and the daughter, who's this, modelly looking in the early 50s siren, are wearing the exact same weird dress. It almost looks like
Yes.
yeah, it almost looks like I don't know, just some kind of culty thing, but that is never explained. But the exact same thing.
The exact
And
same dress.
Both very inappropriate for desert heat, too.
Yeah. And the girl that plays Alice, by the way, she is really putting all 4 of her acting lessons into this role. She is committed to the role of Alice. She has like a couple freak
She's the
outs
best
and
Alice
stuff.
I've ever seen. I'll just say it.
Top tier Alice. There's also like they keep saying don't leave this little rooftop because of the electric things that keep Roman from finding us.
Yeah.
And then everyone keeps leaving.
Yeah. You might as well
Alice-
be talking to our desert rock or,
It's really hard to keep our crew of 6 people
I know.
all
It's like,
under
guys,
control.
you're it. There's no more people. Will you just get it together?
Just stay put. But no, Alice and her boyfriend have to sneak off and have sex in the grass after being chased by Roman.
That is strongly implied.
Yes, in a very weird pantomime.
Have you guys seen the Wikipedia for this? Because I just want to read a tiny bit. It does refer
Yes.
to that scene in the plot summary. Johnny confronts Roman and reveals his immunity to the death ray, causing Roman to begin planning a method to counteract this immunity. Okay. Alice and Roy find Johnny, and after inexplicably kissing each other while still in danger, return to the facility. So
That's, yeah.
I love that editorializing in just the most bland Wikipedia plot summary ever.
I
Some
love
of God's greatest angels are summarizing terrible movies for
Yes.
Wikipedia.
Yeah, absolutely.
Taking one for the team.
And they're correct. It makes no sense. And then they immediately come back and they're like, hey, we want to get married. They come back. The guy's still shirtless.
Yes, he loses his shirt. Does he lose his shirt during the makeout?
I think
No, he loses his shirt from some less sexually a charged moment, right?
Yeah, I think he takes it off. I don't remember. My memory, which is probably not correct, is that he takes it off shortly before they actually get married by her dad in the most depressing little wedding scene ever.
And he stays shirtless for the wedding scene. I also want to point out that in the weird pantomime lovemaking scene, he's bleeding from his ear the whole time.
It's so weird, yeah.
So he's shirtless, blood is trickling from his ear down his cheek. None of that is explained.
And they are pantomiming like two people who have never done that before. You just say like, oh, just like show each other stuff in the area and like sort of have fun with it. So they're like pointing at stuff and laughing silently. And it's like, what are you looking at? It all looks the same. You're in mortal danger on several fronts. Like
just
what?
Mushroom clouds in the distance. See, look at that one. That one looks like a mushroom.
Look at that. Oh,
that one looks like a mushroom.
Hi.
That's I think the most bewildering part, only surpassed maybe by moments later when Johnny, or I think this is earlier, Johnny sees Roman and in the most iconic line of the film calls him a pooped out pinwheel.
Pooped out pinwheel. Could not decipher exactly why he used that noun. Pooped out. Was it pooped out?
I think it's pooped out pinwheel, although that's rather crude for a child in a film of this era.
Yeah.
I don't understand it. It seems like an English as a third language kind of insult,
with the
maybe.
Vast array of things you could compare that blobby, furry body to. Pinwheel just doesn't come right to the top of the list.
Yeah, well, maybe we're getting a peek at what the original intention for the costume was. It was supposed to be dramatically different, and they had to compromise the design with what they could afford, which was exactly 2/3 of a gorilla costume and a bowl. And they were like, well, any line that we replace this with is just going to be making fun of, call attention to how bad this costume is. We'll leave what's there and just have people scratch their heads.
The original true vision of the pinwheel, Roman.
The pinwheel would have gone nicely with the bubbles, I feel like.
Would it be constantly in motion? That might be distracting.
And blowing the bubbles at the audience with the 3D, I can see the vision.
Okay.
I can see the vision. So they get married. Then the robot monster starts massacring them. He kills the little girl. He strangles her to death.
Harsh.
Because she also just leaves the compound, goes out in a field, gets strangled by Roman.
Notably, they don't give a shit. The family is just like, she seems to have wandered off. She'll find her way back. It is a very weird thing.
Yeah, and as you point out in the RiffTrax, they get over it really, really fast. Like at least the dad is like, well, we can't look back. We mustn't dwell on the past. He basically
starts scolding right away for anybody who dares to remember it for 30 seconds.
Yes. Not only did you just lose your youngest
what's
child,
done is done. But she's dead.
She represents 18% of the human population of Earth.
But don't worry about her. We have to move forward. Yeah. At some point, Roman has fallen in love with Alice because, of course, that's got to happen. Because there's got to be some conflict, I guess, leading us into Act 3. So he kidnaps her and then gets really aggressive with her. He tears off her top then punches her in the face, which is the most aggressive thing we've seen Roman do.
It's pretty messed up.
And then gets on the phone. He's like, he just punches her because he needs to answer a call from the Great Guidance.
And he is not happy that Roman is attracted to this young, haughty human.
No, not at all. He's not happy that the job isn't done. And so Roman is basically like, hey, can I just leave her? Actually, maybe we need her. Maybe we should keep one alive just in case. And the Great Guidance is like, no, I'm going to kill you and them and just finish the job. Which, why did we do all this?
I don't know.
He just, from orbit, kills everyone, including Roman, and brings the dinosaurs back?
That, you have hit on, I think, the most puzzling part of this movie, which is, and it's in the beginning and the end too. It's like they're just like these pictures of like Gila monsters fighting each other and spinning around and around. Like somebody really got into that and was on acid and just couldn't stop filming that. But it's a very puzzling thing. It's like you killed them all, and now you brought back dinosaurs somehow to like finish them off. They're already gone. What are you doing? What are we supposed to believe here?
If the idea is that they wanted to colonize Earth, but humans were too dangerous, I don't think you want to bring dinosaurs back. That seems counterproductive.
Or alternatively, just bring the dinosaurs back and then sit back with your popcorn and watch them eat us.
I know, but both seems a little busy. It just seems like a bad planning by the guerrilla guys.
It's a helmet on a helmet, I think.
Yeah. And yeah, important to note that that scene does happen at the beginning when the kid first falls asleep. We see the exact same footage. It is not. Yeah. It is the exact same footage of the lizards fighting and some stop motion triceratops, I think. Yeah. Comes back at the end. Everyone's dead. The kid wakes up and does his, and you were there, and you were there.
Yes.
His little sister's like, hey, you want to play house? And he's like, I guess since you died in my dream, I'll be nice.
Right.
And the movie ends. And that's Robot Monster, baby.
And you never, not once do you see anything resembling a human habitation in it, too. Not even at the end or the beginning. It's just, they're still hanging around the ruins and the garbage.
The secret second twist of the film is that he was having this dream, but he does live in a nuked out wasteland already. And so that part was not part of the dream.
That part's real. They do
that
live
happened
on
before the
roof.
Movie started.
Yeah, no interior shots in the entire film. All EXT day.
So much heat stroke on set. So much heat. I also, then they do the thing at the end when everyone is like, it didn't happen after all. And of course they do, Roman coming at you through the picture, which is the 3D shot that I noted.
But yeah, that is Robot Monster. Bill, this movie's in need of some saving. I think it really needs to be rehabilitated to make it into the dark universe. Obviously, it can't go in this condition. We got to get some stars in here. We got to get a director who's known for more than their burlesque work, I think. And it's up to you. Do you think you're up to the task?
No, but I'm still going to do it.
Great.
That's the spirit.
Now, we're going to go to a break. I do want to say our break today is a little different.
Oh, yes.
Those of you who follow us online may know that my band just released a single on Friday called Hell Breaks Loose just a couple days ago. And so for your listening pleasure, instead of having a usual ad break, we're going to play the song for you. So you can hear that single. Go follow us on Spotify, Apple Music, all those places. We are called Dalton DeShane and The Traveling Show. The song is called Hell Breaks Loose. Add it to your library. Tell your friends. Talk about it on social media. I would really appreciate it. If you're a fan of our musical episodes, and particularly Love Never Dies, since that's the one I did the music for, you'll probably like this because it's like that, except if I had time to think about it. And craft it more. So here's Hell Breaks Loose, and we'll be right back with Bill Corbett to hear his pitch for Robot Monster.
Test your looks are right up, time to play the try your aim game. Don't
Hey everyone, Dylan here in the edit bay. Before we get back to the show, we're going to take a quick second to acknowledge our lovely patrons, specifically those who are pledging at the executive producer and studio executive levels. Thank you so much to studio executives Andy from the Discord, Bill French, Birris, Joe Valiant, Cadel, and Tom Webster, and to our executive producers Brian Egan, Callie, Mar Bendlar, Matt Thackeray, and Soonmont. And of course, to all the patrons who support our work. We could not do what we do if we couldn't assure our partners that we are in fact earning some money. If you like what we do, please consider joining the Patreon. For $5 a month, you get access to our lovely and welcoming Discord community where we talk about movies, share things we've created. There's an amazing culture growing on there of great people getting together in the voice chat to do table reads of scripts they've written. It's awesome. Plus, you get the bonus podcast where Dalton and I talk more about movies and, starting next episode, workshop loose pitches for even more Dark Universe movies based on source material selected by our patrons. Right now, that show is monthly, but we've decided that if our Patreon hits a total of $1,000 a month, we will make the bonus pod bi-weekly. That means you will get a new episode of either Are You Afraid of the Dark Universe or Are You Afraid of Dylan and Dalton just about every week, even if it kills us. So, if you've been on the fence about joining up, there's a little extra incentive for you. Please head over to patreon.com/Dylan and Dalton and check it out. All right, enough of me. Back to the show.
Welcome back to Are You Afraid of the Dark Universe with our guest, Bill Corbett. We are entering the pitch meeting now. Bill, as you know, Dylan and I are executives here now, running our own film company, handling the Dark Universe. And we are anxious to hear your pitch for a 2024 remake of 1953's Robot Monster. Now, first question I have.
Y'all.
Will this be filmed in 3D?
No, I think 3D is over, guys.
Okay.
All right. I mean, we're kind of looking forward to charging $25 a ticket for this. But.
Yeah. Good point. I mean, it could be an IMAX.
You know what we do? We could do a 70 millimeter.
I do not have the market analysis to know whether that is still a viable economic model. So I will leave that to the experts.
Yeah, we'll check with our money people on
Please.
that. But Bill, where would you like to begin? You can start anywhere.
Well, first of all, I think not knowing the depth of your universe as it has been building over these many months, years?
Years, actually.
Okay.
Years now. Yes,
we are. It's been about 2 years.
We are 2 years
So this
in.
is a lot. There's a lot going on. So I have to proceed as if I don't know it because I do not. But it seems to me that the weirdest possible part, or the weirdest potential part of this, is that the Dark Universe, as I understand it, it's not really space and sci-fi so much as horror and gothic horror at that.
We've dipped a little into the sci-fi space. Gita Jackson did a pitch for Colossus the Forbin Project, which was about supercomputers, warring supercomputers.
Yeah, but we've yet to have any explicitly extraterrestrial characters.
Yes. But we're not against it.
Okay. My instinct, though, is to just ground it on Earth and use the same basic design. And this is a remake. It's, very loose, very, very loose indeed. But
yes.
And to maybe seize on that detail of the scientist who cured all disease, and to use that in some way as like he was a good intentioned guy. So many are. So many like, Universal monster movies start with a scientist who has some good intentions and then royally fucks up and bodies are all over the place before you know it. And I don't know that we want to keep the German professor. It could be anybody. I think it's probably somebody, I don't know, sort of bland. Sam, cripes. I can't think of his name. The Australian actor who was in everything.
Oh, the guy from Avatar.
Yes, the guy from Avatar.
Sam
Worthington. Although to be fair to Sam Worthington, I did see him in that miniseries about the Mormon murders, and he was actually really good in that. But usually he plays like just kind of bland dude. So I'm thinking that we start him out in that sort of state of bland dudeness. and he's just really trying. He hits upon this eureka thing where he cures all disease. Maybe he's got a kid who he just keeps pumping full of boxes and various factories. But I think he like accidentally kills his child, because we do need a moral payoff for that, which is not happening in the current robot monster. So in order to bring the kid back to life, he uploads his consciousness, into basically some mainframe computer, but then he wants to give him a body. Yada, yada, yada. Stuff I have not figured out yet. He has to go to the zoo and get a gorilla to host a body. But he does have it all figured out how that will connect. So he uploads his kid's consciousness into this. The kid goes mad and kills Sam Worthington. Sorry, Sam. And from there, that's the origin story. Then he retreats into a cave somewhere near Bronson Canyon in LA. The people walking their dog just nearby. And then the story just becomes like him obsessing on how he is going to get a new body and become normal again. The bubble machine, I don't know how it fits in, honestly, guys. I hope you will still give me money. I will make it work. We
gotta find a way.
The money was gonna come from the product placement for the bubble machine.
Good.
So we really gotta find something to put
and selling replica bubble machines. Yeah. This is a merchandising opportunity.
Yeah, and so and then little plushy dolls for kids to have of Roman. So this is a real reconceiving of the whole thing, where he's more like a Frankenstein adjacent character. But he's been or like Darkman or somebody. He's been sort of lost by his creator, who he killed. I'd kill him. And so, but he does fall in love with a hot woman, of course.
Of course,
and
kind of a big situation in a way, almost, because he is how old is this child, really?
Right?
Yeah, although we could do it so that like 20 years pass and he's like Gollum in his cave, just building bubble machines. Like that's all he knows how to do, and that's all he wants to do. He just figures that if he can get, I can't really connect this yet, but if he just keeps building bubble machines, the world will accept him because of his whimsy and joy, and give him a big payoff.
There actually is something there that I like. I like the idea. It's almost a very Frankenstein idea of like, I'm this monster no one will accept.
Yeah.
But maybe if I go out in disguise, like he covers up somehow and goes out with the bubble machine as like a street performer.
Yeah.
And is just to try to connect with other people, maybe other children, right? Like little kids are coming up to the bubble man, but then like the mask slips or something and they see the robot face, or they see his like gorilla hand come out from under the shirt or whatever, and they're terrified. And he retreats, but some young woman sees it and follows him. It's like, young man, what's wrong? What happened? That can be how he's attempting to reconnect with the world, is through the whimsy.
You took the words right out of my mouth. No, you didn't. But
I like that a lot.
You took it and ran with it. Maybe the bubble machine too is an extension of, like, he thinks he can get back in good with the world if he somehow disseminates this cure of every disease to the entire world, and then he'll be the hero. So he's using advanced bubble technology, and he's doing it at a small scale now, but his whole vision is to do it to the entire world. And he is deluded enough to think it'll cure him of his gorilla-ness. I don't know.
Oh, that's a good third. Oh, okay. I'm having ideas.
Good, man. Now. You're putting money into this. You should.
This is my favorite part of the guest episodes. Okay, so here's some ideas. Sam Worthington at the beginning. I think we can really play into, there's a current sort of young fascination with what's that girl who like killed her mom because of the Munchausen's by proxy thing, and she's like a celebrity now.
Yeah, it's not coming to me.
I don't remember the name.
I know
but
who you
yeah,
mean, though.
We've seen there's documentaries, there's adaptations of the documentaries.
She's now like a Instagram celebrity in some weird way, but like because growing up, her mom would like convince her she was sick. I think there's something to be said here where the Sam Worthington character is he's so on the brink of curing all disease, but like maybe he's been kicked out of whatever institution he worked for or whatever.
A trail of dead people behind him, maybe. So he's really on the lam.
His child becomes his sole test subject. And like you said, just like pumping this kid full of diseases. And so it's not so much that like he's convincing the kid that he's sick. The kid really is sick constantly because he's basically a pincushion for his dad.
And he doesn't know this, right? The dad just has convinced him that he's just chronically ill. And this will help to lead to his decision to kill his father when he realizes that all the suffering that he's endured in his life is because of the experiments and the lies that his father has been doing.
When he finds out that what really happened, he finds out about the cure. He finds like the logs of all the tests and everything, kills the dad. But also his one memory of leaving the house is before the test started, when his dad still worked for whatever college or whatever, of going to a carnival and seeing the bubble machine. And so like this is like his one happy memory.
Oh God, that's so sad, but it's good. Yeah, good sad.
Seeing the bubble machine or the bubble with the wand or whatever at the amusement park. So he kills the dad. He's still emotionally stunted. He goes out and when he says, well, I want to connect with people. I want to connect with other children or something. Well, how do I do that? The only way he knows of connecting in a positive way is through bubbles.
Yep. We could also bring back, just as an homage to the original, the pinwheel in some way. I don't know.
Someone should say that his product looks like a pooped out pinwheel.
That's exactly right. That's what I intended.
I just had a great image. I think the climax of this film has to take place at the top of an iconic skyscraper. I think that one in Pittsburgh that kind of looks like Batman, that has now had to fix the top of it, a giant bubble machine with which he's trying to basically spread it out to the entire city, making these minivan-sized bubbles. And there's someone who's trying to stop him because perhaps this is actually going to be dangerous.
Yes.
And it has to be. So we have our other character, I guess our female lead that we mentioned earlier. She's been following him and tracking him, and she believes in him, but now she realizes that what he's doing has gone way overboard and has actually become dangerous, and now she has to stop him.
And she is a scientist. We can borrow this from the movie. They gave her, actually, I will give it a win for having a young woman be a scientist who's actually competent in this movie, although she does spend a lot of time bickering with her boyfriend about who is more competent. But we just get rid of the boyfriend.
But they also spend a lot of time soldering. They're soldering all the time.
We didn't even talk about like the erotic soldering sequences. Where we just spend a good solid minute just watching them, just their hands entangled, working with
here
metal.
We can bring back just a little Susan of the burlesque of our original director.
No, but I think you're right, which is that our third act is really I think there's like a sort of almost like Phantom of the Opera kind of relationship between Alice and let's call him Johnny Roman.
Maybe his name is just Roman, like Roman Reigns or Roman from Succession.
Sure.
The tribal chief has arrived.
I mean, in the movie, Roman did reign.
Can we have the Roman's mocap will be performed by Solo Sikoa.
Actually, having Roman Reigns be in the suit,
he's a big guy, and he's not probably a great actor, but he, this is a good starting place. I mean, his The Rock started as the CGI mummy from the previous version of whatever, the Scorpion King.
The Scorpion King, who is canon to our universe.
But in that Twisted Metal show, they have the wrestler Samoa Joe be the body of someone, but then the voice is done by a real actor. We could do that with Roman Reigns. But yeah, so in the third act, Alice and Roman have had some sort of falling out. And so Roman is desperate and he finds his father's formula for the cure for everything. And he says, I'm going to distribute this to the whole city using these giant bubbles. The bubbles will go out, and when they make contact with people, they splash, they burst. People will get its skin contact. But what Alice discovers is that this is not a finished product. It's still deadly. And if Roman goes through with this, it will actually kill everyone in the city. So Alice has to stop him before he does his like end of Batman 89 Joker style blanketing of the city with this stuff. But he's just doing it because he wants to be a hero.
Right. And this would paint him accidentally into one of like history's great monsters. This will make him a mass murderer that people remember. That's his nightmare, right? So the stakes are very high, not just on a literal level, but in terms of what it means to his character.
Along the way, we can't spend a ton of time on Act 2, of course, but he must terrorize some people along the way.
We got to kill a little girl. That's
just for the hell of it.
To the story.
All right.
Yeah.
Now here's the thing. I know that it's the dumbest part of the movie, but part of me thinks that somehow this movie should still sort of be some kind of fable whose last second secret message is be nice to your sister. Like, I don't want to make the whole movie a dream because then we can't use Roman in future films. There's no way to build a franchise.
Yeah.
But if we could pay homage to this in some way, like maybe he does have a sister, right? And maybe the sister was either, it turns out, was an earlier test subject, and that's why his sister, his like sickly younger or older sister died, and that's part of the vengeance. Or maybe maybe she's another person who he tries to, who is a confidant at some point, and that can be in our act 2, and she does reject him as, you're not my brother, you're some kind of weird gorilla monster, and that puts him into a darker place.
What if Alice is the sister instead of like a love interest, and we just sort of combine those together?
Right. She could be an older sister who has followed her father into the sciences, but who went off on her own direction because she had, or she went off to school, she found her own specialties, and she's always been a little bit suspicious of her father's methods. And maybe, in fact, when he was starting to like Bill mentioned, put those bodies, that trail of bodies, she has actually had her own career endangered by her father's research because of how reckless he is. The
family curse, yeah.
And so, yes. And so she also has this weird relationship with the family and its and their work. And so in her mind, this is an opportunity for her to correct her father's mistakes. That's she has, of course, empathy for her brother, and she wants to help him find himself and become happy. But this is also redemption for her and the whole family legacy in the sciences.
But he doesn't get that, and he harms her in some way, I think. If we're gonna make it about like be nicer to your sister, he has rejected her. He thinks she is an extension of her dad's malevolence or indifference to human life.
Maybe what happens. So I think it should be maybe like an early Act 2 reveal when she figures out that this creature is her brother, right? Because she doesn't know, and we, the audience, don't know that that's his sister. Maybe there's like, as she learns that that's her brother, we learn that they're related, which we as the audience didn't know. She then wants to help him, but at some point, in classic sort of tragic universal monster fashion, classic Frankenstein fashion, really, in like a sort of he doesn't know his own strength thing, does end up killing someone innocent. Maybe
let's go full Frankenstein and make it a little girl who is making daisy chains. No, that's a little too far, but
yeah. What's the Gen Omega equivalent of making daisy chains? I think it's just making daisy chains in Minecraft.
Right.
Yeah. So he kills this little girl, and the sister immediately has flashbacks to their dad. She's like, you're just as reckless as he is. I can't be associated with you because you're a monster. Like, you're killing people. She like kind of blows up at him. And then so he sort of strikes out at her, punches her just like Roman Roman punches Alice in the original. But he sort of strikes out at her. And that is what sort of causes the rift. That makes him then lonelier because he's just now killed someone he was trying to connect with and then also attacked his sister. Now he's alone again. He's like, and he now knows about the science history because his sister has told him. That drives him to his plan to cure everybody, and she has to stop him.
Ka-ching is all I got to say.
That sounds like a movie. Now, we got to cast more than Sam Worthington here because now we have several sort of main characters after Sam Worthington dies. Who should we get to play Alice?
A sister. Yes, and I'm even questioning Sam Worthington now. It almost seems like it needs someone a little more cerebral and less leading man-like.
What about Stellan Skarsgård?
Oh, nobody better for that.
Right? He's like, he can do the older scientist thing, but he's played, like, that's kind of his character in like the Thor movies, but this is like a darker version, right? This is the success at any cost. Like he gets to finally have some of the like mania that the younger Skarsgårds are getting right now. He can show Bill what's up, what old dad can do.
And, keep it in the Skarsgård. Scars or SARS?
Scars.
I believe it's Scars.
Keep it in the Skarsgård. If we can't get Roman Reigns, then we have another tall Skarsgård. Cannot tell you which one it is.
We could get Bill.
Yeah, Bill. It depends on if we're looking for bulky or like
creepy,
uncomfortably lanky proportions.
Well, Alex Skarsgård is already in the Dark Universe.
Oh, that's right. He plays Keith Heap. Right. A comedy role in The Invisible Man's Revenge.
Although if he's in a gorilla suit, he can do two parts.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I also should bring up, Bill, you don't know this, but there is very strong precedent for people being put in gorilla bodies in the Dark Universe.
Yes.
Oh, really?
Basically,
big spoiler for those of you whose first episode this is.
In The Invisible Man's Revenge, our sequel to The Invisible Man, a bunch of vampire souls get placed into the bodies of gorillas to terrorize the Invisible Man.
And one of them is an ex-cop with the voice of Walton Goggins.
And he does take a growth serum that turns him into King Kong. So
you have a very complex lore there at your fingertips.
That's why we told you not to worry about it.
Well, these are the directions you have to go when you've done 20 of these.
Yes.
Like, you have no choice. Go big. Go giant ape or go home.
So I'm thinking Charlize Theron as the sister.
Ooh, yeah.
Okay,
because physically able, smart, can play a whole bunch of different notes.
Yeah, almost similar to her Prometheus role a little bit. Yeah. I think Charlize Theron would be great. And yeah, that's really all of our main cast members, it seems like.
It feels like we need to flesh it out. It would be needed to be fleshed out a little bit because we don't have enough going on. But we have the scaffolding.
We have the scaffolding, and that's what these episodes are really about. Right. But I think we do need to figure out how this ends. Do we kill one or both of our... I mean, seems like maybe we probably want to keep Roman, again, to use for franchise purposes.
Absolutely.
And if the message is be nice to your sister, maybe that means Charlize Theron has to die. She maybe sacrifices herself to save her brother.
She dies, but at the very end, she's coming back. She's going to be another version of Roman.
In a different animal body, maybe.
I don't know about a different animal.
Like I think...
A horsey.
I have an idea for the...
a horsey, yeah.
That would be fun. I think that we have the image is the giant bubble machine is revving up. It's too late to stop the first bubble, right? It's already partially inflated. And she has to actually dive off the roof and pop it with her body in midair in order to prevent those viruses from it's high enough that they'll get scattered, right? And that's her great sacrifice. Though then again, that would make it really hard to reconstruct her because she would be pizza when she hits the ground.
Unless...
Well, Then again, if
do
our Roman is a digital consciousness reconstruction rather than a transplanted brain, that's not an obstacle,
True.
right? We can still put her into a little box or a little bowl that sits atop of a horse's body.
Well, what we do is
what else
in
could
the
we use? I mean, it's tough to beat the gorilla thing, but
yeah. And Charlize the horse is pretty good.
Charlie's the horse.
no, Charlize Heron.
Oh,
We put her in a heron body.
Why heron?
Because it sounds like
Charlize
Theron. I guess if you pronounce it Theron, it doesn't work.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Yeah, I'm probably pronouncing it wrong.
I think it's Theron.
Charlize Heron. just
Charlize
kinda tickled me.
Heron.
But I think this could be our mid-credit stinger. Is we see Charlize Theron sacrifice herself, and then in the stinger, our Roman, who is torn apart with grief, discovers that she also has been uploading her consciousness as her dad taught her to do. And then in our post-credit scene, we see her come back as an animal.
Does he bring her back?
Yeah.
I think like out of guilt, right?
I think that's a good take on it.
You know what this opens the door to? A really radically different take on the island of Dr. Moreau, where everybody on the island is the reconstituted digital consciousness of somebody stapled onto the body of a different animal.
With the same dumb helmet.
With the
for
same
everyone
dumb
else.
helmet, yes.
Does that mean that Stellan Skarsgård's character is Dr. Moreau?
Maybe if we really want to go with the eye-rolling franchise,
We don't reveal that
We
until
don't
the end.
reveal it until the very end that their last name is Moreau,
Yeah.
and
yeah.
that sets up a
What do you
future
think,
installment in the series.
Dr. Moreau.
Now Dylan's the one with Feige brain this
Oh,
episode.
God. That's
we got
what this show has done to me. I hate that shit, Dalton.
Yeah.
But that's
thinking
exactly what we should do.
that's Marvel brain right there.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Yeah.
And that sets up our animal Avengers.
And I think eventually they can find better ways to do, like, if you want it to be a good movie, they can ditch the helmets, the uniform helmets per se. And, maybe it's just like Iron Man. It's nanobots or something. I don't know.
Right.
Or
It's a holographic head on top of an animal's
Yeah.
body.
Yeah.
You do the thing where it's like a gorilla, but like the skin is sort of like wearing away, and there's like a steel like Terminator skull underneath.
Ew.
So it's like
That's
kind of
genuinely scary.
like kind of a rotted gorilla face with like steel robot face underneath.
Now you're talking.
There we go. I do think if we want it to be a good movie, maybe the giant bubble blowing machine at the end is not the best way to distribute the virus, but I do like it.
Well,
I guess it's also a little similar to the climax of The Amazing Spider-Man.
Is it?
Yeah, because that's where Dr. Connors makes this big device to distribute his
the
lizard
lizard serum?
aerosol at
Wow.
the top of,
Yeah.
I guess, like One World Trade or whatever.
it's
or the
a
Oscorp
common trope,
building.
like the X-Men original
Yeah.
too, or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, so I think we've really got quite a film here.
Indeed.
With some genuine pathos and heart in it.
Mhm.
And also keeps a lot of the spirit of the original in a weird way. Alice, I think, does need to have a love interest.
Yeah.
Right.
For sure.
We maybe need to have, like, I don't know if we need to retain the shitty, condescending chauvinist level of the character, but maybe something in that spirit, somebody arrogant who, like, over time we can realize is like, this is kind of the version of a scientist that she was trying not to be, right?
Yeah.
More echoes. They're both finding more echoes of their father in everyone that they meet, right?
Mhm.
And they're like, why do we keep why does this keep happening? Why do we keep gravitating towards these ideas, these habits, these bad influences?
We need
Right?
therapy.
Maybe the breaking
Or a
point is
giant
that
aerosol atop a building. One of those two
One of
things.
Yo, gorillas would literally rather build a giant bubble machine
Right.
than go to therapy.
Maybe the last straw between Roman and his sister is that Roman kills her fiance to protect her because he's a bad guy. And so
Ooh.
we're kind of on Roman's side about it, but she can't see that because she still loved him.
Right.
And that makes the rift between them. And
I
so we
like
have
that.
kind of, this skeevy fiance.
Who probably has some sort of commercial designs on some patent or something there that she's working on.
Maybe he wants to market the sort of consciousness scanning technology as a way to make like billionaires immortal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
some sweet Elon Musk money.
Yeah, I think that really works. Now, I think the last thing we should maybe do here is pick a director.
Yeah, Bill, who do you want to execute your vision on this?
I would like, sorry, I didn't think about this ahead of time.
That's okay. I could really see Raimi doing
Sam
it.
Raimi it was just about to come to mind. I think that is a good choice because he will find the good, silly, grotesque stuff, but he's good at keeping a story, going too.
Raimi did technically direct our Hunchback of Notre Dame
We
episode.
don't have any rules about not repeating directors. In fact, we've done it because we had James Wan do the first 2 Dark Legion films.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and I think this would be one Raimi would be super into.
Yeah, I mean, it's very much in that. Our previous guest episode even was Daniel Kibblesmith talking about Darkman. We've been talking about Sam Raimi a lot on the show lately.
Yeah.
And why the hell not, frankly?
But no one understands Universal monsters and sort of superhero movies like Sam Raimi.
That's true.
I think we've successfully turned Roman into like a classic Universal monster. He's got all the things. We don't have you know what? The program that uploads their consciousness is called Grand Guidance.
Yeah.
That's the name of the computer program.
Leave it there, man. Leave it there. There's nothing is going to top that.
This reboot shit is easy.
Yeah.
Why do people act like it's so hard and you can't make money or do it right?
That's exactly what we'll say when we finally get Alex Kurtzman on the show. It'll just be us being like, was this so fucking hard?
Yeah, couldn't you do this yourself?
Really like your work on Star Trek.
Someone should pay us to do this, and someone should pay Bill to write this script.
Yes.
When I hear pay, my ears perk up. And
Speaking of paying Bill Corbett, Bill, why don't you plug your stuff? What's going on in the world of RiffTrax? Do you have anything else to promote? What's happening? What do you want people to know about?
Yeah, RiffTrax just had its big, as you mentioned so graciously at the beginning of the show, we just had our big live show last month or a month plus 2 weeks. But eventually, probably, I don't know, certainly before Christmas, we're going to release that as, video on demand. So look for that.
Amazing.
It's a really fun one. It's Point Break. Catherine Bigelow, by the way, I would have her direct anything. She's, she's visually good, and she's like better than the Point Break, the movie, which is a silly movie. It's fun.
Yeah,
but we had a great time with it, and so look out for that. If you're in Canada, depending on when this is coming out, they're broadcasting it up there, and look on our site for details because I don't have them, but it's a little bit of a delayed thing there.
We have a lot of Canadian fans.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, good.
We also
All right.
have one of the members of our Discord community was at not at the local, but at one of the Fathom
the movie
places
theater.
that was streaming your Point Blank event, and was really excited about it. And
cool.
I think it happened right before we announced that you were the next guest. So we were like, oh, say hi to Bill. And I have to say, I saw one of, I think, your live Plan 9 events years ago. And I still remember that being like just like such a great time. And I recommend that experience to anybody who has.
Did you see it like live? Like
no, it was here in New York. I think y'all were broadcasting from
yeah. That was our first one ever in 2009. Yeah.
Well,
and we had we didn't really know how to do it yet. Like, I mean, we were finding our way, but we had like a musical guest, Jonathan Colton, who does the did the RiffTrax theme.
Fuck, that's a guy we should get on the show.
Oh, hell yes.
I'm a big Joko fan.
Yeah, or get Hodgman too. He will.
Oh yeah.
He will be very fun. But yeah, that was us finding with our training wheels. But yeah, Plan 9 is such a delight.
Yeah, that one's great. I saw the Starship Troopers one too.
Oh yeah.
As a Fathom one. That one was really good. Anyway, we're just now telling Bill how much we love his work. It's great. Everyone go, if you can, go to a theater to see the live events. They're super fun. It's always fun to watch that stuff with a crowd.
Yeah, yeah. It's really nice that people like find each other at these events, and you're weird and have odd taste too. Like
I have a boring question, but how does it work to release a VOD of something like Point Break? Because do you have to get rights for that?
Yes, we did.
That
like this was the reason it was a big deal for us is that we, it was kind of a hard won thing. But the owner of the movie was surprisingly amenable. It's very restricted. Like we had to do the whole movie, which we might not have otherwise because it was just past 2 hours, which it feels a little weird to riff something for that long. It just feels like, all right, guys, you've said your piece, sit down now. But yeah, I mean, it was a pretty generous deal all in all, but like basically we are able to do that with the commentary, and that's our deal, at least for a number of years.
Well, definitely support them and get the Point Break RiffTrax VOD when it comes out if you're not able to see it live in Canada. Anything else?
That's it. I am working on some stuff, but nothing like in the public yet. I hope if I see you guys next year that I will say differently.
Hell yeah. Bill, it was an honor to have you on. Thank you for bringing Robot Monster to the Dark Universe. Oh, we haven't said, I think we can make this canon.
Yeah.
This doesn't conflict with any of our existing Dark Universe canon.
And I swear to God, I say this even when there's not someone from MSD3K on the show. Push the button, Frank.
It's alive! In the name of God, now I know what it feels like to be God.
Great pitch. Roman is now an official Dark Universe monster out there somewhere in the caves, living with his bubble machine. Hopefully,
and
our Dark Legion
pinwheel.
And his possible pinwheel, his pooped out pinwheel. Our Dark Legion may come across Roman at some point. Who knows? Nice. I think Roman and Victor Frankenstein would have a lot to talk about. Although I think they did. Victor is dead. We did kill him.
Are we going to mention this in every episode?
Yeah.
Just to upset that one person on YouTube?
I'm sorry to that one person on YouTube who really hates us.
Yeah. Maybe Victor Frankenstein can be uploaded into an animal body.
There we go. In Robot Monster 2. Writing Robot Monster on the whiteboard and adding the S with a dollar sign. And the second one.
We haven't had Jimmy C do one of these yet.
There we go.
Thank you so much for joining us. This was a thrill.
My pleasure. It was really fun. You guys are very fun. And good luck expanding your universe like indefinitely.
All right. Thank you so much, Bill. This was great.
Bye, guys.
Oh, tremendous.
Amazing.
Great time.
Thank you to Bill Corbett.
Dalton, we made Bill Corbett laugh.
We
were able to return a little bit of the laughter that he's given to us.
And that's what the show is all about.
It's all about us feeling better about ourselves.
In many ways, that's what all performance is.
Yes. We were seeking validation from strangers and at a greater scale, sometimes a little bit of validation from the strangers who once sought yours. It's fucking rad. Bill Corbett, no longer a stranger to us.
No longer a stranger. That was the 50th episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark Universe? Thank you for sticking with us through all these episodes, or welcome if this is your first one.
Gosh, if we had any fucking time at all, it would be great to like have a little montage of some of our best moments, set to some sappy music. But we're in the middle of writing, recording, and editing Dark Legion 3 right now.
Yes. So and we have a bonus pod to record right after
this, where we have to pitch a new version of Mamma Mia set in the Dark Universe because someone paid us to do that on the Patreon. Do you want to pay us to do something that we're going to hate doing? Then please.
We don't hate doing it, Balthazar. I'm sorry, Balthazar.
Watching Mamma Mia, we did not enjoy doing. But
you can hear more about that.
We're really have a lot of fun riffing on it, talking about a new version of that. We will maybe throw a clip from that in the next episode so y'all can hear it because it will be out by then. So if you want to do something, you want to join our community, or if you want to sign up at the $25 level and assign us a specific film to do a guest style pitch for, like the one you just heard, but just with the two of us on our bonus pod, please go to patreon.com/Dylan and Dalton. You can get 7 free days and then join at as little as $5 a month. You get the bonus pod, you get the wonderful Discord community. Sometimes I'll put a bonus video from my wrestling fan fiction bullshit there. And we're doing video podcasts now.
That's right. Podcasts have come to video. It is the 21st century, and we have the technology. And coming up, theoretically, in 2 weeks, you will be listening to Dark Legion Death's Door Part 1. Now, that does mean we have to finish writing it.
Yes, we're like 90 pages in right now, and we have like 4 more days.
Hopefully, by the time you are listening to this, we are recording Dark Legion Death's Door. It's going to be a big one. It's early. We haven't finished it yet, but we were just talking that this might be our favorite Dark Legion movie.
I'm really proud of what we're doing with this
Hopefully we get it across the line. So we will see you in 2 weeks. Come see if we made it. And then that's going to be it maybe for sort of season 3, I guess we'll call it.
We've more or less, we've decided, we were talking about it in another episode, in our last episode that we did, just the two of us, I guess 2 weeks ago, that we might just decide to, rather than have phase 3 be twice as fucking long as it normally is, that we will actually officially call everything between Dark Legion 3 and Dark Legion 4 phase 4 or season 4 of the show. So this will be the big season finale, 2-part season finale, full cast, very eventful. If you've been enjoying this, or this is your first episode, please go back to the beginning and check out all the stories that we've been telling. Or if you'd rather not do, 100 hours of this shit before jumping on board, the previous episode is a recap of our last season. It can help you get up to speed.
And not only that, but on September 21st, the day before Death's Door comes out, we will be hosting a all-day live stream on YouTube of the Phase 3 pitches, just the movies, no discussion. You can hear all of the Phase 3 movies in a row. I have done the math, and all of our Phase 3 pitches, if you cut out all the bullshitting and just have the scripts, it's about 12 hours. So we are going to be starting at noon Eastern time. We're going to be going from noon to midnight.
And we'll run the whole thing, and then we'll ring in the new year.
Yes, with Dark Legion Death's Door. So if you want to chat with other fans and listen in real time, jump in, jump out whenever you can. We'll be in there for part of it.
As much as we can.
Much as we can.
Now, this is, of course, an opportunity. It's not all about us. You all can, this is the first community event that we've done which is not behind a paywall.
Yes.
Where people can finally chat, find other fans of the show without necessarily giving us $5. But you know what? If that community it makes you feel warm inside and you want more of it, it's a great excuse to start giving us $5.
So we will see you then. We have to go record a bonus pod and then maybe die. But until next time,
stay afraid of the dark universe.